Andrew.
Yes, you. How you doing?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm good. See if I will. All
There we
right,
go. So, Andrew,
sir.
tell me your seeking story and what got you here.
Ugh, we don't have enough time for that. I love my story.
I love
I like my
stories.
story. Uh, yeah. Well, when I was a little kid, I was interested in anything that was weird. I guess uh, ghosts, UFOs, you name it. If I could find something in the bookstore, then I was into it. Uh, anyway, always sort of like that, much into psychology and things. Then I think the first really big something that wasn't duality, but it certainly is now, and resonates with everything that I'm hearing about duality was work I was doing through Werner Erhard with Est and the Forum.
Hmm.
Uh, that really was a big thing for me. Uh, Big breakthroughs in a lot of stuff. Relationships with everything was good, but everything became great for me at that point.
That's awesome.
Um, and on from there, part of uh, the result of doing that work was I was working at one of the top private schools in the United States, and I left that job and went to do something I thought I would love. It turned out eating peanut butter and jelly the last week of every month, sort of threw some water on that. But I did enjoy what I was doing, and it was working with at that time someone who was a motivational speaker. Um, and uh, but it was in his office. I heard about a job in Indonesia. Uh, I knew everybody who was involved with looking for people for that job, so the networking was done, and I got hired to go. My expertise is music education. I was a professional musician, uh, trombone player, and uh, and marching band was my particular thing. So that's what I got hired to do, of all things. Uh, a really big company in Indonesia hired me and three other people to start a marching band. That's all we did, full time. Marched around a live volcano for a TV commercial. Took them to the Tournament of Roses parade twice, uh, and just got involved in a lot of things there. Indonesia is a very spiritual place,
Hmm.
very, very fascinating place to be. I lived there for 30 years. This little dorky trombone player from East Texas. I married a Miss World contestant,
Oh, wow.
one of the biggest celebrities in Indonesia. Um, we had a daughter. She's a pop music star in the U.S.
Oh, wow.
And that's another amazing story that goes with that. And uh, so I've experienced things, just what other people will call miraculous, amazing things, and how I even stumbled into these people are surprising. But one of them was a, a kung fu shifu who was the head of a school. It's a 3,000-year-old tradition in Indonesia, who could do all that stuff you see in the movies. Just stunning and amazing stuff, but it was about uh, energy and moving things around. And uh, I was with him for a long time. There's a good book about him out to read something about him. There's some videos of him online. He's passed away now, but I got to hang out with him and be his interpreter for 8 years. And I saw things that just broadened my horizons in ways you could, but most people couldn't imagine. Um, and uh, and then I ended up we got divorced, still good friends, just that lifestyle is not me. I'm a much more private person. Um, and Shortly after our divorce, our daughter's nanny called and said there was somebody who wanted to meet me. And I used to deal with there are these weapons from Indonesia. They're daggers, called keris, and there are all these magical, mystical things associated with them. I used to be involved in that and trade and buy and sell. And So she said, "Oh, he knows something about that." So typically I would say no because
Hmm.
during my divorce I had people showing up all the time. I come home from school and there would be reporters on my doorstep, and because the wife was such a big celebrity, um, all worked out well for me. But anyway, I didn't want to have visitors, but anyway, that intrigued me. He came over. It turned out the real deal. He was a Sufi saint, um, and he a bunch of stuff happened with him and at that particular visit. But about 3 hours later, he turned to me and he said, "Would you like me to be your friend or your teacher?" And and I said, "My teacher." So he became my teacher, and I've been involved in Sufism since. That's why I'm where I am now, which is in Iraq.
You're in
Um,
Iraq right now.
yeah,
Oh, wow.
but he told me even more miraculous, amazing things happen being around him. But he told me at one point, he said, "You have where you are in the teaching, you have to leave." Um, and So I got a really really good job in Qatar,
Hmm.
which I hated. It was so after 2 years I left, um, and I just thought in our lineage, the grand sheikh, the sheikh of sheikhs for all of us, is Sheikh Abdul Qadir Jilani, who's very famous in Sufism, and his shrine is here in Baghdad. But when my teacher said you have to go, uh, we said Americans can't go to Iraq. That's where we get kidnapped and killed. So I thought this is going to be impossible. And then, just like everything else that's happened to me, just a few weeks later, a job popped up for a principal at a private school in Iraq, and they hired me right away. And this is my third year here. Uh, and it's been an interesting ride. Right now, particularly interesting time to be here. Um, and But that's it. So all of that, I think the algorithms when I was in Qatar, especially, it took me. I'd never heard of a lot of these people, but Rupert Spira, I was watching on YouTube. Uh, Enjoyed that, liked that very much, and uh, then those algorithms eventually took me to other places, especially when I moved here. And something came up with John Wheeler,
Okay.
who I liked a lot because he reminded me so much of Werner Erhard, a very intellectual approach to things, lots of nice big words, um, and then it said something about Sailor Bob, and I could never understand or hear on the video when he was talking. So, but then something came up with Terrence Stevens, uh, and I that one I liked quite a bit. So I actually met him online one time. A terrible connection, so it wasn't a great experience. Uh, but the and then your stuff popped up. So and this just a few weeks ago. But what happened was this: is I all of the people that I have been interested in, they will say something or do something that puts me very deep in my head, and I love to just ponder and think about what happens to the space you're in when you move. Does all that kind of stuff, and think. But when I watched your first one-on-one, you said you said something, and it's the first time that when I went into my head, there was nothing, and that's what really intrigued me. So
Okay.
you know, yeah, it was it's quite interesting to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
How many of those one-on-ones have you seen?
I try to watch it. Well, I don't always make it all the way to the end, but I usually, I don't think they do either.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I usually watch one or two a day if I can.
Oh, wow.
The thing about it is that when I ask the same questions that you're asking, it's me. It's a thought in my head asking a question about the thought in my head.
Yeah.
Uh, so when I watch and you're asking the exact same thing, there's a completely different experience to it,
Yeah.
which is why I signed up for this.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, well, there's over like 150 videos, I think, over there. That's
Mhm.
very similar, right? So, but different kind of different kind of backgrounds of people. People that have been seeking for 2 years, people that have just stumbled upon it, not knowing what non-duality is. And most recently, there's like a couple of people that have been seeking 50, 30 years, right? And it boils down to this, right? So at this moment, without any other moment, just this instance, this second, what do you believe?
Well, again, from your videos, without reference to the past or the present or the future, nothing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
So
is
it's in,
annoying.
what's that?
Which is annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what's between nothing and not nothing?
Again, now this I'm glad we get to this one because in the beginning, this is where I just went blank,
Yeah.
which I've been in that space before, but never from a question. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So I thought it was good, but the things I learned when I was with Werner
Mm-hmm.
uh, were about that's the space of possibility. That's the something nothing. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how he looked at it. And I began to hear this whisper, from the side. It's like, okay, I know there's nothing, but what is that nothing? That nothing, let's call it possibility.
Yeah. Well,
I thought,
what if
why,
we what
why are you
well
ruining
let's
it
go
for
let's go even further. What are you without language?
us? Well, that, yes. Then that's all it can be. And I do
Yeah.
get that. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
again, the
Again,
same thing.
so
Yeah.
what if that's another language, you know what I'm saying? Like you come up with another thing. What are you even without that? And without that, and without that. What is a you without a language? What is a thought without a language? What's a belief without a language? What is this
Yeah.
moment without language?
Well, the only way to describe it is in language, right? Is a nothing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So if there's no next, because that's just language,
Mm.
there's no past because that's just language, no wisdom from anyone because that's just language, no reference point from whatever anyone has ever said because that's language. And maybe,
Yeah.
you know what? Maybe you've surpassed anyone that has been speaking about language about this that can't be talked about.
Doubtful.
Well, that's just language.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. I'd like to feel that way.
Yeah, yeah.
It's yeah.
What
Weren't
apprentice basically say is that we're all in equal field at this moment without any
mm,
language. No one's got it better, no one's got it worse. And the thought will come, I would like to, but that's just language, irrelevant.
yeah.
Yeah. And this is the peace that passes all understanding.
Yeah. So this is again where I'm not sure. Again, well, what, right? I get seriously, dude, the thing about language. And
Yeah.
again, that goes back to 35 years ago with Werner, and he again did the same thing. And it
Yeah.
was
What
about,
if you forget about everything that's ever said? That's language again.
yeah, then
Yeah.
then nothing. Yeah.
There you go.
So,
Yeah.
but again, so for me, right,
Yeah.
if uh, I I have been there in both traditions that I've been in
Yeah.
the thing with kung fu and also the thing with
Yeah.
in Sufism.
Yeah.
Um, a lot of that is directed at that. The training that we do with energy and kung fu
Yeah. But
can't happen.
what if we take away that again and it's just language really? No practice needed here. I'm just going really direct. I'm not trying to, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I'm just trying to get
Hey,
into this directness.
you can collaborate with me all you want. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like, yeah, I'm here for
yeah,
that. So,
yeah. So that's the past. The past doesn't matter, right?
mm,
Because if that past worked and it made a permanence, you would not be seeking. So what if there's
and
nothing
maybe,
to seek?
yeah,
Yeah, what if there's
yeah.
nothing to seek? Right? There's
No,
nothing
that's
for.
where I guess, yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's where it comes up for me, right? Is that
yeah,
this the
And I'm going to suggest this. I'm going to cut you off. What if there's no
what,
next? Just language. But so there's no past, it's just language. So I'm basically trying to express that every single thing that you think about, the past, the future, is a reinforcement that there's something missing. But if you take away all the language, what's missing?
yeah, I can only
Yeah.
answer that referring to the past. Yeah. So,
Yeah, but forget about the past. That doesn't, you know what? That's just an anchor, right?
mm,
If you want to be fetter free, you know what I'm saying, unfettered, and just freedom from all ideas of freedom, then here it is. It's the same
yeah.
thing that I
So
did for
let's
quite a while, right? Because I was a meditation teacher for like a decade. So every
mm,
time I would get here, I would try to settle in here, trying to be aware, trying to be conscious, whatever practice that I did. And then one day when that was not working anymore, I realized that it does not need anything practice, or it doesn't need a doing or not doing, because that still involves a you. And the greatest illusion is you. So it's between you and no you.
yeah, nothing.
Yeah. And then
So
life just becomes this unexpected surprise, right? Without words, without the influence of language or the influence of others, then you don't require a master anymore. You don't require a teacher. It's here. And
yeah,
everyone goes around about it in a long way of trying to
yeah,
get here.
mm,
But it's always been here. It doesn't matter your past, or you know what, like a 19-year-old that I was talking to yesterday, who turned 20 actually today, right? It's his
mm,
birthday today. Has no idea what Sufism is, has no idea what any practice is, but clear as a bell.
mm,
And it's wonderful to see that, because there's equality in everything. We're the same as the baby that's just born, or that dog that's looking at you, or the trees, right? In silence. But we have a whole bunch of ideas intellectualizing it. There was a phase in my talking that I articulated everything. None of that worked. You know what I'm saying? Once in a while, once in a blue moon, somebody will like, oh, yeah, thank you. Right. But here directly, if you kind of like, if you look at something, and if you go really, really, if you look like, for example, at a letter, a font, right? Like a letter I, for example, if you go closely at it, it's just a whole bunch of dots, and there's space in between. If you look at everything closely, microscopically, what you think is not what you see. It blurs that illusion. And if you take away all the words, then what's left? Everything that you've ever thought about, everything that you've learned, does not matter. It does not matter if you have reached the summit of knowing. And it's the same as the depth of ignorance. There's no spaces, there's no location, right? Everything is equally empty. And applicably, you know what I'm saying, in life, right? For example, I don't have depression or anxiety anymore, because the past and the future does not matter, does not even register anymore.
mm.
There's a wholeness that's appearing. I'm not separate from it anymore. I'm not struggling to figure out what this is anymore, because without thinking, everything is it. In that kind of like that poem from Rumi, right? That empty field where you and I can meet, where we can both disappear. It's just an empty field. I'm paraphrasing, I can't remember, but it's beautiful.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
didn't know what you mean. Yeah, but that
yeah,
that true, and uh, at least in sutras, I mean, the goal uh, in that sense is it, and I find it strange sometimes because of the approach to it, but it is the same thing, and that's what's been so I guess, interesting to me,
Yeah,
rather than staying on, okay, this is the way that this tariqa, this school,
yeah,
for 800 years has been doing it.
yeah.
Um, but this is what
What if
speaks to me.
what if no one has ever gotten right or wrong? You just believe that they're right, and someone will believe that it's wrong. Somebody that is a
What?
devout Catholic would think, oh, that's all wrong.
Yeah, well,
What if
some
we
of the
what if they
yeah.
eliminate the right and wrong and go in between
Mm.
and go to the unspeakable? It's almost kind of like, like I don't know if you watched that someone that was seeking for 50 years, right? She could not believe that this is it. Is it really this simple? Just met all kinds of gurus and teachers, right? But what it does is it proposes that there's a next. So that's the distortion in any teaching, because you
Yeah,
have to learn something. What if there's nothing to learn? What if when you get there, you realize that there's nothing to learn? Drop all the knowledge. Here it is. And the
yeah, that's a big one.
attachments
That's a
to
big one.
the attachments to intellect, the attachments to knowledge and wisdom is the gatekeeping of what this is. Shouldn't this be available to that infant or to a person that does not know, or a person in a tribe that has no idea what spirituality or enlightenment or Sufism is? Wouldn't it be horrible if only 1% of people that knows language knows this? What about that tribe that has no idea what this what this is, but they're completely happy with whatever seems to appear? What if knowledge really amounts to nothing? Because when you die at your last breath, all of that goes and you come back to this. And it's so light, you know, not living for knowing or grasping for words. I'm a wordsmith. I love words. But
Yeah, I can do. Yeah.
yeah, but when what happened when in the midst of my speaking about this, I was like, I love these poetry that I'm talking about, but really, where does it get anyone? More seeking, more poetry. It's like an opiate for the seeker. Words.
Mm.
What if we go cold turkey? What if we go sober at this moment? There's no next, there's no past, just this. Not even this, what's between this and not this. Go where no mind has gone before, right? Because the mind will
Yeah.
take you to more
Yeah.
mind stuff.
Well, sure it will, but
Yeah.
also as an educator, I find it sometimes difficult. Well, at least there's a pull to maybe I can figure out a way, well, much like you did, I think,
Yeah,
to
yeah.
maybe I can
Well,
figure out a way
I did
to
not figure out
explain.
anything.
Yeah, I'm getting there. Every time I think I come up with something,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's a
It's
balloon.
it's a fool's
Yeah.
gold
Yep.
thinking that you can figure out anything, because the very tool that you're using is made up. So how
Yeah.
can a made up language come up with something that's true when true is just another word? It's made up. When the
Yeah.
next is made up, it's a fabrication. Every single word that you'll ever encounter is made up. You'll just end up with more words. And if you look at words, they're all empty. They're all made up. They're all fantasy. So if you want to see the spoken reality, the unspeakable truth, take away the language. What do you have? And there's easiness here. There's grandness and humility simultaneously.
This now this is where we'll talk about beliefs, I guess. But one of the beliefs I had, and certainly fed my ego to tell people about it, was I wasn't, and still not, seeking bliss.
Mm-hmm.
Um, this didn't mean anything for me. I said I would
Bliss
rather
is just a
be,
word. It's just a
yeah, I
word.
get it.
Don't get caught up in that Satchitananda. It's just the word,
Yeah. Well,
right?
so is the other part of what I said. I would
Yeah,
rather be miserable and help people, you
yeah,
know, like Mother Teresa, than to be uh, happy myself and see other people suffer.
yeah.
Uh,
But what are you even without all of those thoughts?
yeah, but
Yeah.
see, no,
What are you without the but?
I, I know how you're asking that question,
Yeah,
but what I'm hearing is
yeah,
useless, right?
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
what am I without any of that stuff?
But useless is
It,
just a word, the same as useful,
yeah.
equally the same.
Mm,
Yeah. Would you rather get caught up in the dream of words or wake up from silence?
I prefer to wake up.
Yeah. So stop, catching words. Stop grasping words, right? It's like a snooze button every time you think.
It's like a what? Sorry.
A snooze button. You
Oh,
go back to sleep every time that the word sinks in, right? You're like,
yeah,
ah,
yeah, yeah.
helpfulness or helpless. It doesn't matter, right?
Mm,
There's something that's awake that we can't say because it's silent. It's always awake. It has never gone to sleep. You can pretend to sleep with words, but it's inevitable. Your last breath, perhaps, I don't know. But there's opportunity at this moment. If you think that there's no next moment, then that's it. If there's no more buts and ands, that's it. But the buts disintegrate, the and disintegrate, the next disappears. And it's kind of like, when I don't know if you've been hearing what I say in between, it's like, this is the place when I was a kid where I would play. This is where I play music, I play piano, I play music from, I DJ. And then when there's this, interconnectedness connected with what can't be separated, then everything flows without intellect, without my ego, without my mind, without my thoughts. It just is. This is when those people composed those great, what I'm saying, arias or great classical music or that new bass house, what I'm saying, that everybody's dancing to. This is where the poetry, Rumi, comes from, right? So it's not,
yeah.
it's not, it's not the denial of language. It's seeing that language is asleep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I
Language is
do.
dead. Something that's alive, but it's silent.
Mm,
So rest in this peace, not, I'm saying, dwell on the past. Because every language is in the past. The moment you utter it, it's dead. The moment that you ponder it, it's old school. Seeking is irrelevant. Language is irrelevant. Beliefs are irrelevant. Beliefs can be catastrophic. It can be suffering. Keep on believing and keep on suffering. What's between a belief, even a non-belief, is still suffering. Because what you don't see it, there's an I behind it. There's an ego, a me, a mine, or whatever behind any belief.
mm.
And if you can't dislodge that, then you're just operating on sleep.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's quite simple, but the mind doesn't want to accept it because it shows its demise. It shows it's irrelevant, its insignificance, its pointlessness. Then all of its hoarded stuff doesn't matter anymore. The mind keeps on hoarding Sufism, you know, non-duality, whatever's next, right? And that's what they did. And when my mind was so full, I just wanted out. I was suffering. I had so much anxiety because I could not even, it was like I don't know if you've seen those hoarder shows on TV where people just
No,
can't, their house is so full of garbage. And I'll just point it out. All words are garbage. What's the use of it? When you have your last breath, can you keep any of them? They were not there in the first place. That's the illusion if you look at it. If you look at the veil of illusion, the words are the veil, but even the word veil is a word. So there's really no veil. You just believe that there's a veil. You believe that there's something missing. You believe that there's a next. You believe that there's a but. And if you look at it, it's just intoxication. It's just an addiction of thoughts. I still function as a speaker. I can still verbalize things. I'm writing poetry nonstop, that I'll probably release later.
mm,
So it's not about, but if you want freedom from all ideas of freedom, stop believing in freedom according to others, even according to you. Stop believing in the words that masks freedom as not freedom or freedom. How you doing?
no, I've got a hand up inside my head saying no, no, thank you to the thoughts that want to intrude.
Yeah.
Um,
That's
uh,
basically it, right? Because the moment that
yeah,
the intrusion comes in, then you're intoxicated with the words again.
yeah.
And then you're passing on this exit, right? To the infinite peace that can't be understood. Because all you have is understanding of what peace is, but where has it led you? It just goes in a closed loop, basically. Peace, not peace. Peace, freedom, not freedom. Freedom, not freedom, right? So sober up from all the words of opposites. The illusion is there's opposites, but opposite is just a word. So when there's an awakeness, there's no you to wake up because the you is just a word. It's just awake. And my life, you know what I'm saying, for some odd reason, is actually really full. I have a lot of fun. I have great relationships. There's authenticity, a lot of laughter, but I also cry when someone dies, right? I don't have to have this performative enlightenment thing or know me.
Mm.
Yeah.
So I do not know that I'm using words to describe it. I
Go
think
ahead.
also for me, there's a part of a like I shouldn't. I find it very almost like sociopathic. It's easy for me to just be while the storm is raging, like it really doesn't bother me at all. It just sort of goes through me. Uh, and I think, yeah, maybe that's part of the belief thing too. Is like, it should, but it doesn't. Um,
Yeah. Like
uh,
if you look at the child, like an infant, it cries when it's hungry, it laughs when it's happy. You know what I'm saying? But they're not thinking about why they're happy, or it's just what is. To to try to repress emotions because of an enlightened idea that there should be no anger, no whatever, right? It's kind of like, yeah, it's like apathy, it's like sociopathic if you look at it. It's
Yeah.
good when you live in a mountain, when you live in a cave, you know what I'm saying? Because you know what, you're just in that. But when you're reacting daily with kids, probably perhaps as you know, as a principal, right? Right? The authenticity of the character, right? The kindness, and goes a long way compared to like nothing's happening. This is all illusion, right? So
Mm.
you're even free from the idea that this is all illusion or this is reality. What's in between that? And whatever appears, appears as it is. We get romanticized, you know, with this dancing Sufis and you know people in temples and people in caves and everything. But we're not there. We're here in
Yeah.
life. You know what I'm saying? Life is appearing this way. You as a principal, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that definitely was my retirement plan was literally to spend the end of my life in a cave meditating.
yeah.
And uh,
And likewise, I was
yeah.
even posting of how I would look with the jyoti or
Mm.
like a diaper. You know what I'm saying? So I can walk around, grow
Mm.
old, you know. But that's someone's idea of liberation. You're getting duped into someone's belief system. It doesn't have to show up that way, right? This is already free as it is. You don't have
Mm.
to, it's like joining a cult, right? It doesn't have to be groove think because what's that? It's just thoughts of what should be. According to this, according to that, you know what I'm saying? How about according to what it's just a word.
Mm.
Where's the freedom in that, right? And that's what happened to me. I was like, okay, I guess eventually I'll end up in a cave. You know, I'm a teacher now before, and you know, I'm gonna teach about enlightenment. And I'll keep my purifying myself so I'm super enlightened all the time. But that's somebody's idea of enlightenment. That's just a thought. That's just a belief system. For
Yeah.
some people crucify themselves in my country in the Philippines.
Yeah. I've seen
Literally.
it.
Yeah, you've
Yeah,
seen
I've seen it.
it.
Well,
Yeah.
here they, if you've seen like where I am, I'm down south in Basra. Uh,
Yeah.
it's where the people, self-flagellate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah. And
same,
that's what
same
seeking
sort of,
is. You're self-flagellating yourself with words,
yeah.
right? It's
Words
the
an
same
awful
thing.
lot. Yeah,
And
yeah.
mental pain is, you know, is
Mhm.
suffering, right? Psychological pain is
Mhm.
horrible. I've been there, right? So
Yeah.
so my version of self-flagellation is eating vegan food. At one point I was just not eating anymore, right? You know, swiping my thoughts every time they came out, right? Or judging myself for judging
Mhm.
others, right? And it was painful. And then making myself make sure that I don't have fun anymore. So I would just meditate for 4 or 5 hours a day, right? And I would hear the laughter of people passing by, and I'm like, do they have it better than me? And I'm like, no, no, no. Those are poor people that have not discovered what enlightenment is.
Yeah, that's a big one for me right now. I have a it's another one of those. This don't think I'm going to give this one up easily, but it's another belief I have. I mean,
It's a belief,
the
yeah.
yes,
When
but
there's
no, but
enlightenment,
it,
there's no more
mm,
enlightenment. It's just a word.
God,
Yeah. So there's nothing to
and when
maintain. How do you maintain a word?
mm, mm, it's called a mantra, right?
Yeah. Oh, I must have said a billion mantras in my life, right? Like, and it was just constantly. It's supposed to stop. Mantras are supposed to stop the mind, but it
Mm.
reinforces that there's a mind to stop. So what's the point of that? I just became neurotic mantra person, right? Oh,
Mm.
I'm doing my mantra. Sorry. I'm doing my mantra right now, right? And that was my life, just mantras, and I was just stuck in my mind. Any practice that I did was just reinforcement that there's something to practice about, a self to let go, or self to realize, you know what I'm saying? An awareness to be aware of and everything. But what does it do? If that works, then there'll be a whole bunch of enlightened people right now. There's many teachers with so many followers. That's what they do. They're just collecting followers. I like to get rid of them. I don't want followers. You know what I'm saying?
Mm. Yeah.
Because what's the point of me, putting stuff on YouTube if it's just all talk? It's just giving someone a high, a drug or something, right? So might as well be a dealer of words.
Mm.
And the dealer of words really get high on their own supply. They hold on to that word nothing, or there's no me, or consciousness or awareness. Those are just drugs.
Yeah. I can hear all the chatter in my head
Yeah.
uh, in three languages. So that's
Yeah.
you need a word to point at this and
No,
point
no,
people to that. And
no.
yeah.
Where
Mm.
does words take you to? More words.
Yeah.
Or you believe someone's word, right? Then you put someone in a pedestal, like, oh, he has such empty words. Oh, his words are all awareness. Who cares? They're all words.
Yeah. We used to joke whenever anybody finished something with Warner, everybody sounded like they were from New Jersey, New York. Everybody walked away with his accent.
Exactly. They're just
Yeah, yeah,
parroting someone
yeah,
belief
yeah.
system. There's nothing special about anyone
Hmm.
because the word special is made up. You just think that someone's special. You think someone's better than you, right? If you take away the language, then everything is just equally empty. Then maybe you'll see that homeless person is more enlightened than most of the gurus out there. I've talked to a
Yeah.
couple of them. Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
I jumped right in that gap you gave me with and then what? Uh,
yeah.
yeah, there's a big part of me that's like, I can't imagine all these. uh, I mean, we don't have time for all of them, but just the absolutely amazing things that have happened to me, that they're they must be for some
But
reason and leading me
yeah, but
some
if you
way.
keep on holding on
Yeah,
to that, then how
yeah,
about right now? Then you're blocking this
yeah.
moment that keeps on unfolding because you're stuck in your experiences in the past. That's awesome. You know what I'm saying? But
Mm.
look at them as dreams that happened last night. Can you go back to them? No. How about right now? How about the case of right now? How about the day you finally get sober from all of that so that there's life flows, not looking for the next high, right? I'm sure some addict had, like some addict that has done a lot of drugs has also a lot of high stuff in there, right?
Mm.
What about sobering up from all of that? What if that's all the hoarding? Because I had hundreds of glimpses as well. There are many moments I can't even, what I'm saying, I can write a book about glimpses
Mm.
and mystical experiences and everything, right? But if I held on to that, then what would I have? Memories that are not here, thoughts, more thoughts. I'm done with thoughts, aren't you? Okay. How about seeing this? About seeing this without words? How about experiencing this without language?
Yeah. So as like I was saying in the beginning, that's not unfamiliar to me at all. It's um, but as soon as I'm done, I guess, yeah. So here's
Yeah,
where I am. As soon
yeah,
as I'm done with that, then
yeah.
it's like, then it's back to being a principal, or it's back to being, you know, uh, all the other things I'm supposed to be.
What's wrong with that?
It's not nearly as fun as being nobody.
What nobody's just another label.
Just another,
Yeah,
and again, we have like a word for it in Sufism. It's fun, and where you're just like what you're describing. You're just
yeah,
not
yeah,
there. There's no
yeah.
language. There's
But
no,
you're already not here. You
yeah.
just think you're
That,
here.
yeah.
right at
Right.
this moment. You don't have to even listen to anybody's, you know what I'm saying, wisdom. The wisdom is that there's no wisdom.
Mm.
And life unfolds not
Yeah.
according to words, right?
Yeah. That was funny. Sorry. In my head again, it was like, ah, yes. Okay. So, but how did we get here in the first place?
Again, that's just
Like,
swimming in words, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. Just take a
Yeah.
break.
Take a
Just
break.
take a
Yeah.
break. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It's as much as I've amassed so many, like I had tons and tons. Every time that there was a book about consciousness and awareness, I would download it, right? I spent so much money on Audible and Kindle, right? One time I just threw my Kindle book out to the ocean, and I forgot that it's not in that thing. It's in the cloud, right? So you can still access
Oh,
it.
uh,
So then I open my computer. I'm like, they're all still there. How do I delete all of this? Right. So because someone will have better words than you.
yeah, that's the
Yeah.
big thing
Yeah.
that's why I collect. I'm like,
Yeah.
somebody's got that turning
No,
phrase, that
no, no, no,
one
no.
word that I need to
Yeah.
hear. Um,
That's the addiction, right? That was
yeah.
my addiction too. Someone has a better idea than me. Someone has a better way of explaining this. No, you can't explain this. No one has ever been able to explain this. So, with full on humility, I can't explain this. But take away the language, and we're both there. Right?
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Take away the language, and there's no initial or final awakening. It's already awake.
Well, now I can just sit here for the next 30 minutes
Yeah. It's
with
beautiful.
nothing.
Yeah. With nothing. Yeah.
And we should share songwriting tips or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing further to go, right? It's over, right? It's
Mm,
like once you sober up from work, you can get intoxicated again, right? And some people can get caught up in it again. But when we're not caught up in this such psychological warfare or philosophical musings, then songwriting becomes awesome again.
mm.
Walking, right? The simple things, right? Watching kids, I'm saying, how old are the kids that you're in your school?
Oh, wait, we're kindergarten through grade 12.
Oh, that is so amazing.
The little kids are great. I used to
Oh, I love
avoid
little
them,
kids. Yeah, yeah,
but when I became a principal, if I need to be energized, I know
yeah.
exactly where to go, and it's
Exactly.
that
I
side
just,
of the
what?
school.
I walk
Yeah.
my dog right when, and we're near school here, and just even that noise, of them screaming and laughing and giggling, right, is so energizing. I'm like, wow,
Mm,
right? If you ever
yeah.
want to really look at real enlightenment, look at the child, the innocence, right? The joy that they have, even when they're
Mm,
crying or even when they're doing a tantrum. That's it, right? Authentic, right? Not encumbered by our ideas of what a person should be.
yeah. Today is a national holiday. It's Independence Day,
Oh
and
yeah.
I had to cover for an English teacher yesterday, so I had him write a poem about Independence Day. And I remember one of the students saying to me that we should let the kids run the country. Uh, and so maybe think about those things. What
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
might be interesting in some ways and not so much in others, but sure could use some of that nowadays.
Yeah. When I have a huge family where we have, I have four siblings, so I have a lot of nephews and nieces. And then we also have a lot of friends that we have, over the years, right? Because I'm in my 50s now. So I'm a godfather, for about 20 kids. So when I go to a party, I just play with the kids, right? It's all the adults are gossiping about this and that or drinking or whatever they're doing. No problem with that, right? But the kids, oh my goodness, it's just like I was playing parkour with my little nephew, forgetting that my body should not be doing those jumping up and down and
Mhm.
everything.
Yeah.
But to me, that's better than going to a retreat for 5 days trying to figure out silence when you can jump up and down with your nephew, you know what I'm saying, and just have fun without anyone's idea of what fun is, basically. So,
Yeah, it'd be good to give up the seriousness.
yeah,
Uh,
there's so much seriousness, right? So
yeah.
it's like,
From,
and that's what
yeah,
was
I used
happening
to.
to me. I became a super serious character
Mm,
when I was a spiritual teacher, right? So I was like
mm,
correcting everybody. I
right.
was a bit of a pain in the butt for a lot of people, right? Because I'd be like, you should meditate,
Mm.
maybe you won't have that stress in life. They're like, well, you don't have kids, Emerson. And I'm like, oh, because of my spiritual path, you know what I'm saying, leads me into, it's just a whole bunch of garbage that I was talking about, really.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
where I am sort of right now. I have, uh, if I had made a list of what the perfect girl would be like, that
Yeah.
somebody fell into my life here,
Yeah.
uh, uh, and I find that struggle like, yeah, but I'm meant for something more than this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and and I don't want to be,
Yeah.
we adore each other.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. So sober up from your ideas of what should be the next,
mm,
right?
yeah.
Then I think this is what, when you forget about the next, then heaven appears in front of you, basically. Or some
Yeah,
say it's like
that
that.
just
Yeah.
but that just really hit home just for here.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I'm literally, the Islamic Empire at its peak in terms of its philosophy and sciences
Yeah.
was when it was in Baghdad, and I'm here, but I'm already thinking about I'm here because it's preparing me for what something next. What's next?
Yeah. Yeah.
What am I supposed to be doing here that gets me ready for whatever they're getting me ready for?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just realized
Yeah.
that. Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Hmm.
So what does your daughter's a pop star and your wife is a Miss World? Wow. What a life, Andrew.
Oh, and I'm out of
Wow.
nowhere. I mean, really, it's a little town in East Texas with 3,000 people in it.
Yeah.
But it just, it's amazing the whole story of it. But she's
Mhm.
Miss World. She's a, you know, huge celebrity there and a singer, a
Oh,
really,
she's a
really good
singer too.
song.
Wow.
Yeah. And judge on The Voice and judge on Indonesia's Got Talent and
Oh, wow.
all that stuff. And our daughter was doing really well, really smart. She was in my school and she asked for a, gap year when she graduated because she had scholarships to study psychology, and she
Mm,
finally decided, I think it's just because
yeah.
she thought that's what I wanted, which
Yeah.
is true. And during that gap year, she took a couple of courses for mixing and things like that, and she had already a brand uh, ambassador and stuff in Indonesia, so she had about I think she had maybe about 1.5 million followers on Instagram. And
Oh, wow.
she used to say, give me a song or something, I mean, a word or a sentence, and I'll write the chorus to a song for it. And she was talking to people on Instagram back and forth, said, oh, my dad and I went to see Avengers Endgame yesterday, and oh, he really likes that sort of stuff, even though he's old. And somebody said, you should write a song when that little girl says to her dad, I love you 3,000. You should do that. So she went away and wrote the chorus and came back, woke up the next morning to 65,000 people said you should write the rest of the song.
Oh,
And
wow.
on and on. Right, a couple of months ago, I don't know who it was that contacted her, whether it was her agent or what, but Spotify and YouTube said that the combined streams were now over 500 million with a B,
Oh,
just
my
for that,
goodness.
just for that one song. It went to
Wow.
number one in 17 countries, and it's not a, I mean, it's a something gets stuck in your ear, but there's nothing like, oh my God, that's an amazing, that's a
Yeah.
mini
Yeah.
Mozart. It's just a sappy little pop song. Um,
Isn't that
she got
beautiful when that happens? Like
oh
of
he
how life
yeah
just unfolds that way, you know what I'm saying?
yeah
And and perhaps when she wrote it, it's just in that in betweenness where it
yeah
becomes almost like you just come out of nowhere. Like, you'll
yeah
hear over and over some of the, I'm a DJ, right? So I love songs, I love music. I think I listen to music maybe 3 to 4 hours a day, right? So I play music. It's just something that I've had ever since I was a little kid, right? And I can also even tell when a new song comes in. I love listening to new releases when it's going to hit. I'm like, that one's going to hit. It just came from that space.
well no
Yeah,
sorry if I'm
no worries.
making assumptions, but if you want to hear anything about her, I just put her name in the.
Oh, awesome.
She's with 88 Rising, which you may have heard of them. They really like to focus on Asian artists, but
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I took her to Singapore for her birthday when her song was at 10 million. And every day we wake up and it was 12 million now. So and then record companies from
Is
all
that your
over the place.
daughter? Stephanie, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
wow, she's gorgeous.
Yeah, well, that's she gets that from her mom, but she gets her nose from me and her smarts.
Okay.
uh, yeah, but she's doing everything now. She's coding and writing games, and she gets paid a ton of money to stream, and
That's
she's
amazing.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
it
amazing.
is. I love to use that in school and say
I always kind
people.
of like
Yeah,
laugh about people arguing about non-duality, this and this and this and that,
yeah,
right? I'm like, non-duality really is just really insignificant in the huge population of the world. It's like it's so minuscule, right? Like, for example, my video just reaches a few people, and then look at Stephanie reaching half a billion of people, saying with songs, with just because we take this too seriously, but there's this light pop song of her daughter's love for her dad, and that's universal. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Yeah. People go ape shit, you know what I'm saying? Saying that this person is right in non-duality, this person is whatever, this is enlightened, this is not enlightened. Who
yeah,
cares? There's beautiful pop songs around there, right? You know what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah.
There's movies like The Avengers, you know what I'm saying, that reaches
Mm,
billions of people, right? So
yeah,
I don't take this seriously, to be honest with you, right? It's like
mm,
it's 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 when people ask me like, how's your daily life? I'm like, it's just really simple. I just walk around. I like music. I like walking. Simple. I like
mm.
eating, right? So
Yeah. I think that's one thing
I don't
I
have
just make
students.
sure I
I
can
don't
take
have.
your advice. I don't think I'm going to try the cauliflower wings that you suggested.
What's that?
What
Sorry.
you suggested? What was it? Cauliflower wings or something in
Oh,
your
they're so
another video?
good. Are you vegan?
No, I don't eat red meat or pork, but I
The
don't like
cauliflower wings
cauliflower.
are so good.
Yeah.
Even when I go to a restaurant, when I see that there's an option, I order it.
Mm,
Over chicken wings. There's just something
mm,
so crunchy and soft inside about it, right? It's just
mm,
delicious.
mm.
Yeah,
I'll
because
take your
that's
word
what
for it for
for one
now.
point, when I was vegan, I missed chicken wings so much, right? So I
Wow.
just when every time what we went to, there's this restaurant called Meat. Instead of MEAT, it's called MEET, right? So it's vegan.
Mhm.
It's like pub food, and they have the best cauliflower, wings, and I just ate that, and because I tried hard to be vegan, but I'm a poor vegan cook.
Mm,
you know, Dehydrating all of those lentils and beans and everything, right? To make it into bread, sunflower seeds. It's just, oh my goodness, it was just so bland. But when you go to a restaurant for people that do know how to cook really good vegan food, it's delicious.
yeah,
Yeah.
Indonesian food is off the charts,
Oh, I
fantastic.
love Indonesian
Yeah,
food.
oof,
I
it's
love it. Yeah.
yeah.
They have roti canai, right? That's Indonesian.
Indian. That's in. They have it in Indonesia, but in
Yeah.
Indonesia, like nobody makes fried rice as good as Indonesia. Their chicken soup, nobody
Oh
even
yeah,
comes
yeah, yeah.
close. and a bunch of other things that would
Oh,
hard
I'm
to
thinking of
describe.
Malaysian. Sorry, sir. But yeah, Indonesian.
Yeah.
If the Philippines were not invaded by Spain, it would be more like Indonesia.
Yeah.
The Spanish came to our country for 400 years, right? So, and
Yeah.
it
We had the
changed
Dutch.
everything.
We had the Dutch for 300 years,
Oh,
and
that's
then
right. That's right.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. I'm not sure what is it that the girls eat in the Philippines. It's what everybody shows in the documentaries. The bird fetuses and
Oh,
the
balut, balut, which is the duck. Yeah,
not for me.
not for me too. I tried it, but I could not finish it. I can eat the soup in it, right? But when you
Mm,
start opening the egg, you're like, oh no, no, I'm not gonna eat a beak or something, right?
yeah. Do you know what durian is? Durian?
Oh, I love durian.
In
It's
the
stinky
grocery
as hell,
store
but
here,
the sweetness, oh, it's so good though.
I can't stand it.
It's an
But
acquired taste.
here in the grocery store they had it
Oh,
2 days ago, and I've never seen. What is it doing in Iraq?
oh,
Uh,
really? It probably
and I was
stank up the
running,
whole
yeah,
grocery store, right? Because it's
yeah,
so pungent.
because it was opened up and packaged. So I was running around the store to all the teachers opening up the plastic packages and smell, smell, smell. Because it's like non-duality. I mean, you cannot describe that smell. It's
No,
nothing
no,
like the
no.
real thing. Yeah,
Yeah,
there it
it
is.
just permeates. It just it just covers the whole thing, right? It's like a skunk, right?
Yep. Ugh.
um,
Mm.
yeah, I don't crave it, but I don't mind. I like it. I like the sweetness. The
Mm.
it's like a pasty, the
Yeah.
fruit is delicious, right? But I can do without it because the smell is too much, right? So there's
The
durian
only
candies in the Philippines that you can buy, right? So you don't have to,
the
like the
only time I've had
prepackaged
it,
ones.
the only time I've had it that I liked it, it was fried, the deep fried durian.
Oh, they're good. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
smell, but all the
No
taste.
smell. All the taste. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. But here in Canada, there's a lot of Asian markets, right? So
Mm.
they have it saran wrapped 3 times, you know what I'm saying? So and there's a lot of people that buy it, right? Because it tastes like home. And if
Yeah.
you look at Indonesia and the Philippines, it's a bit like durian, you know what I'm saying?
Mm. True, true.
Yeah. So your daughter is in the States or she's in
No, she got
Indonesia.
a yeah, she got picked up by that record company in LA, and
Oh,
she finished her contract with them, and then what she wants to do is write and produce. She likes to do that more
oh,
than uh,
beautiful.
and so they offered her a position in them in New York, but she didn't want to move, so she uh, she didn't resign, and but she's doing really well. Uh,
Oh yeah, like the moment that you get like a million subscribers on Instagram, like even me with my small subscriptions, I get emails already offering me to this product, that product, you know what I'm saying? Like an influencer kind of thing,
yeah.
right? Some people even send me clothes now, right? So and I'm just a small content creator compared to her,
No, yeah, it blows my mind. This just about maybe about 5 months ago, uh, Lenovo said, "Oh, we saw online that you're creating games. You're learning to do this, so we want to
Yeah.
send you everything you need." And it was like $30,000 worth
Yeah,
of
yeah.
junk. Uh,
That's what I mean. Like,
yeah,
like I have Samsung watch that wants me to wear a watch and everything. They'll send it to me for that kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? Um, it's
so
anything to,
where you can
yeah,
let them see your watch, right?
it's kind
Yeah,
of like that. But I like, but I have Apple.
yeah,
Already.
they,
It doesn't matter, saying it's kind of,
yeah,
but yeah, you know what? It's when I started, it's and it grows fast, right? So I was like, for quite a while, I could not even get to 1,000 subscribers, right? So for like a whole year,
mm,
I've been doing this for 3 years now. So, but now you know what? I every time that I release like a one-on-one video, there's a couple of thousand subscribers that subscribes, right? So it's reaching a wider audience, right? But
yeah,
it's still small compared to song, music and art and that kind of stuff, right? Non-duality is so insignificant, there's like mega pop stars like Taylor Swift that reaches like billions of people, you know what I'm saying? Um, it's a small niche kind of thing, right? So even
Well,
to
and
get like a
like
thousand
you,
subscribers is massive already. Yeah,
yeah, well, it's like you pointed out. If you're truly successful, people won't come back.
that's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what it is, right? So it's like people like wondering how come you're not full in your calendar. I'm like, because I don't get people to come, 10, 20, 30, 40 times, right? Doing the same thing over and over again. That's how calendar gets filled up. When you have a high turnover rate, you get rid of them as soon as because what's the point of having followers? Um, People subscribe because they like the videos, right? But I don't really have followers. Like I don't like doing retreats, um, because it just reinforces that there's a next, basically, right? A next, something to get when you see me in person, basically.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I don't know what word to use to describe it, but when uh, I was really interested in Osho for a while,
Oh yeah,
uh,
yeah,
fascinated just reading his stuff. Never watched any videos or met him or anything. I met
yeah.
one person in college who had gone to it,
The
something for
compound.
like the summer.
Yeah,
Um, the way he described it, I wouldn't have gone. But I remember reading that he said he just stopped talking for 3 years, um, so that the people who were just hanging on, and that was it. They all just drifted away because he wasn't seeing anything anymore. Uh, uh,
yeah, yeah. I also heard that he was high those 3 years all the time.
I have no idea,
There's a
but
documentary about it actually on Netflix. It's of
I saw
how
that. Yeah,
I saw that
yeah,
one, yeah, Wild Wild
yeah.
West or something, right?
Yeah,
So
Wild is, yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah, wild stuff. But he spoke to my personality at the time. He
yeah.
liked to just be confrontational and argue.
But
Whatever it
but
was you believed in, he was going to smash it.
yeah,
Uh, yeah,
but there were still a lot of words in it,
yeah, a lot.
a
Yeah.
lot, right? There's still a lot of concepts and belief systems, and it's
Mm,
just basically if I challenge your belief system, then I want you to believe in what I'm trying to say. Then I have a teaching that now you have to adhere to.
yeah.
It's almost like if you look at markets out there, there's a successful business, a competition will arise.
Mm,
Sometimes it will create exactly the same, you know what I'm saying? Or sometimes a new market that will come that will be completely opposite of it to get the alternate audience to go there. And that's the same thing with churches and spirituality, non-duality. It's just marketplaces.
mm.
Rarely you'll see someone that will basically say, get out, right? That's what I do. Get out of the circus. Because it's just a whole bunch of rides. After one ride finishes, then you're like, either get caught up in one ride over and over again. Even when you get out, you go for another ride. And there's a whole bunch of circus barkers out there telling them that this is the best here. This is the truth.
Yeah.
And then you believe that circus barker and you go back and forth, right? But no one wants to go to the guy that goes, don't go in there. Stop it. You
Mm.
know what I'm saying? Get out. Get out while you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I think what I said at the beginning is a testament to that. That I love Werner, and
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
there were others that are really into, but it's because they left so much for me to think about. Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Exactly. There's a
and
lot left to the imagination. For
mm,
example, if someone tells you that there's no one here, and if that becomes a belief system, there's an absoluteness to that when you say there's no one here. Because without any thoughts, but that just went into another language. It just went into more words, maybe less words, but there's still words. It's still a next. It's still something to chew on. If you have to chew on it, you know what I'm saying?
mm,
Then it can be intoxicating.
yeah, it
Yeah.
certainly was when I
Yeah.
was when I was doing, so what got
And
me into some of this stuff was martial arts my whole life.
yeah.
And I'm an Aikido instructor as well.
Oh,
And so
nice,
that dream
nice.
about living in a cave
Yeah.
was my Zen period.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah,
Your Zen
uh,
era, right?
yeah, it was long lasted, and my favorite poem was uh, I said it. It said, "Because I was born, I must die, so I will." You
Yeah.
know,
There's
that
nothing
was
wrong with beautiful
yeah,
poems, but when
yeah,
you start seeing that they're for in if you miss out the disclaimer that for entertainment purposes only,
oh,
but when you start living and adhering to words, then you get caught up with words, right?
yeah,
Then how can you find silence when you're holding on to words, especially the words of others? And how can you find equanimity and equality when you put someone in a pedestal? When you think someone's special, then you think you're not special. Then you have to get there. Then there's a next again. Or someone that speaks emptily and there's no me or whatever. Then you have to get to know me. You'll never get there because that's just a thought. Even if you think you get there, then you would have to hold on to that belief system. Then
yeah,
everybody becomes wrong now and you're right. What's the freedom
yeah.
in that when you're right and everybody else is wrong?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, sure you're familiar. That's a big thing with in Islam. There are three levels: Sharia,
Yeah.
Hakikat, and Makrifat. And that's the Sharia is the just okay, follow the rules,
Mm-hmm.
um, and uh, and that's where all the trouble starts.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
your uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. It must be is it challenging to live in where you live right now?
Uh, in the last couple of days, I wouldn't run around saying I'm an American, but in the
That's right.
past,
Yeah. Yeah.
no. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
Iraq is nothing like any of the media
Oh, I know that. Yeah. I know
stated to
that.
be
Yeah.
in. So people super friendly, want to give
I
you
have a
everything.
it's
Yeah.
weird. I have a couple of Iraqis that does one-on-one with me.
Ah,
Yeah. Yeah. I have
well, if any of
I have
them are
people from
ambassadors,
Dubai, I have people
ah,
from Iran, you know what I'm saying? Just different
ah,
places basically. Yeah. I'm actually quite surprised when somebody goes, "I'm from Kuwait," or part of I'm like, "What?"
well, the whole again, every time I come across something in Sufism, it's just for the first time, it's like, oh, it makes so much sense when I run it through this particular filter.
Yeah.
Um, and maybe it's you know recognition from a Western mind, I guess, because it's a pretty complicated system to get. Uh,
How is Sufism, accepted by the Iraqis?
uh, it's yeah, well, I mean, it's accepted. It's fine. You only have to go to the places like Saudi Arabia where they think it's a horrible
That's
thing,
right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. But
I
here,
actually have someone from Saudi Arabia today I talked to. Yeah.
ah,
Yeah.
yeah.
This
Uh,
she has a
do
video actually in one of the one-on-ones.
you remember the name? I could look for the
Uh,
video.
I think Iman.
Iman. Okay,
Yeah.
means faith.
EMEN. She's in the States now, but when we did the one-on-one, I think it was in Saudi. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that might be interesting to see that perspective.
Yes,
But
but
here,
she's
here
very but she's gone through the whole bunch of non-duality. She's gone through, you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
it's beautiful, yeah. It's the
Well,
same thing with people. I have people from Malaysia, from Thailand, you know what I'm saying, from Indonesia, right? That messages me now. So um I'm getting a lot of different people from all over the world now, right? So initially, maybe in the first year, I was just getting people from like, you know, North America, just Canada and the United States, and the rare kind of like people from Europe, basically. Yeah. Sometimes, you know what, I do one-on-ones at like 3 o'clock in the morning to if somebody requests, it's not available on my thing, right? So somebody goes, "Hey, Emerson, the only time that I can talk to you is at this time. I'm at this country." And I'm like, yeah, yeah, no problem. You know what I'm saying? especially if people are really suffering. Some people are really, really suffering from seeking,
Yeah, I've
right?
heard
So,
you mention that. Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
I had this amazing woman that's gone through so much in her life, right? And she has cancer. And so for the first 30 minutes, I'm like, it's okay, yell it out, be angry. You can yell at me, you know what I'm saying? And everything. And at the end of it, she cleared up. She goes, oh my goodness, right? So, and and her life is unfair, all the past and everything. But if we take away the language, and that's when she goes, what? Right? And
Yeah.
there's so many people too, like there's people that have addictions and gone through this most severe, depression, right? A lot of those don't get released because they're too personal, right? So, um, but some of them get through. Some of them get through. Some person goes, maybe this will help, an addict, right? So release it or whatever, right? So in your
Yeah.
case,
Which is good.
maybe
Good.
an intellect, maybe this will help an intellect.
It was any other
Right?
trombone players out there, right?
What's that?
Any other trombone players out there?
Trombone players out there. Well, you're an intellect. Saying you've gone through
Yeah.
that whole intellectual philosophizing of what this is, and
Yeah.
Sufism, especially. Sufism is beautiful, though. The poetry, especially, right? It's just like wow.
It,
It's so
and it's wide. There are 72 schools of Sufism. It's so
yeah.
most people just think of Rumi and whirling dervishes. That's
That's
just
right.
one
That's right.
approach.
I do
Yeah.
know that it's
Yeah.
more expansive than that, right? So
Yeah.
and it's just like kind of like Christianity. There's so many different types,
Mm.
of or or Hinduism, for example, right? There's Advaita, there's Tantra, there's the Yamas and the Niyama, the Patanjali side, right? So there's the Upanishads, there's the Bhagavad Gita, there's the beautiful Ishkan people, right? The Hare Krishnas, you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, and they're all different, right? And there's also the jnana and the devotees, the bhakti yogis, right? And the karma
Mm.
yogis. It's just wow, right? And so it's like it's not making one right or one wrong. It's going in between and seeing that these are just beautiful expressions of something that can't be expressed, and it's going to express as opposites, as or even with non-duality. There's so many different kinds of non-duality. It's wild, right? But it's funny, right? When you belong to one of them, you defend your belief system, and you don't even see that it's a belief system
Mm.
because you're convinced that this is just awareness. There's no belief, it's just awareness, or there's no me to believe this. But it's all beliefs. The moment that you can call it something, it's a belief, right? So
Yeah.
yeah. So I'm just a rogue character, you know what I'm saying?
Mm.
So people can't get they don't know what to make of me because I wear a hat, I laugh a lot, you know.
Yeah, I think the first video I saw you were wearing red rim glasses.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, for me, it was like, it's like, excuse me, but you don't look like a guru. You don't look like a,
Yeah.
but that's part of what made me go like, okay, if something comes up for me like that, I know enough to go like, well, I better take a look.
Yeah.
And and like I said, that, I love going to the playground of my head.
Yeah, yeah.
Everybody there likes me. So,
Yeah.
uh, the, it was that. I think the first one was just what's between this and not this.
Yeah.
It was like, and
Yeah.
then it was nothing. Nobody was there to.
Yeah.
I thought
Yeah.
that was pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And then everybody's looking for that really, right? They're looking for that end game. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? Looking for that okay, when does this end? Right. So it's here. The beginning and end simultaneously is here. And if you look at it, there's really no beginning and ending, it's just thoughts. If you go between the beginning and ending, then it's over. That loop, you know what I'm saying, that keeps on trying to figure things out gets exposed as a shtick, like as a fraud, basically, right? And you're like, wait a second here. And it's almost like there's this, if you like Marvel, right? There's this WandaVision. where this whole town was just mesmerized by this spell. And
Hmm.
they, you know what, and they just doing the same thing, and that's the same thing with thoughts. It's like a spell. It's like a trance basically that we go through, right? Looking for the next, looking for the next. And then we're blinded by this gorgeous silent reality that we can't speak of. We can't even call gorgeous a reality, but I have to use words. And it can be boring, it can be mundane, but that's where it's at. Not in the corners of your playground of your mind. It's the playground in front of you. It's a playground that's you, not in what you think about or what others think about. It's like going to many different alternate realities if you believe in what someone is saying and what this person is saying. It's not what this person is saying. But seemingly no one can take you there. It's all talk because it's all fabricated.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think I've dismissed all of that in the sense that this again starting from the Zen, it's just it's people pointing,
Yeah.
and the only way you can point for us is with words.
Yeah.
So it's okay. Uh,
Yeah.
where I probably you should have made videos 30 years ago, Emerson. You saved me a lot of time.
Yeah. No, this is it's almost just came about where just out of really just compassion because there are people that are like, I can't do this anymore, Emerson. They've been telling me, and I'm like, how come I can talk about this and admit that it can't be talked about, but I can't seem to show it. And then once in a while, I'm saying in my one-on-ones, I'm saying people would pop out and they don't even know what I said. So I notice that it's nothing that I say. It's what I can't say that they fall into that. You know what I'm saying? They clear up. They're like, oh. So I'm like, how do I refine that? And you know what? And I just the moment that I see that it was working over and over and over again, and then I always change it because the mind is great at adapting to things. You know what I'm saying? Like you will say, well, I'm in between. I can't seem to get in between, Emerson. And the new one that I do now is, what are you without language? They're like, wait a second. Because they co-opt, you know what I'm saying? They adapt to what I'm saying. It's almost being one step ahead. And the words will, you know what, will just, and it's funny, right? Because I've been, I'm sure that there's a lot of people that have suffered more, but I suffered so much, trying to look for this, right? So the only thing that I can do really is just be blunt and honest about it and not string along people, not give carrots to people over and over again, right? What's that going to do? And then what if you're just parroting someone's words? What's that going to do? Right? Because this, admittedly, there was clarity here, but I did not know how to speak about it. I did not know how to express it, to be honest. So I took the time. I was even reluctant as a speaker. It's like someone almost had to push me. I'm like, okay, someone could not make it, and I took over. It was like a few minutes. There was a Zoom meeting, and this person, had his own stuff happening, and could not make it, and started noticing that he kept on missing a whole bunch of meetings. So I just took over, and it felt like, what? It felt like stepping home. Felt
Mm.
like, I'm like, okay, you know what? There's something here that I can actually say. But on the side, I was starting to do one-on-ones. See that I was saying. So I already had like 20 on my death list of people that have stopped seeking, right? So there was already some substance to what I was talking about, right? I just
Mm.
had to clear up the languaging. So there was a moment that I was like going to a roomy like poetry and everything, right? And that seemed to be great, you know what I'm saying, for books, but it seemed to create this intoxication again, or more kind of like a penicillin, you know what I'm saying, or not penicillin, but like an opiate for the seeker. They're just like, that's beautiful words, but they look for more words. So when I started doing the one-on-one, and it was clicking, people were like, you should do this more often like this, Emerson. People were actually suggesting that, just clear up, whatever, take them there where you're at 8 years ago when this cleared up for me. So at that time, if you heard my story, I was just DJing and it just clicked. I could not find my thoughts. I was about to
Yeah.
have an anxiety, And then rather than avoiding it, meditating or trying to say that there's no me to have an anxiety, I went directly at it, full on. And there was a boom, like, wait a second, who's DJing? And and the belief started falling down. It still took me like maybe even 3 years to reach out to someone to say that I don't know what's happening, but this seemed to have happened to me, that I can't seem to find Emerson anymore. It's just a thought. And then the beliefs, sorry, just a second.
Yeah.
And as the
I,
beliefs started kind of like just disappearing. And that initial thing, so I just wanted to take people there, because you know what, there's always a commentary that people that seem to awaken go in the roundabouts way of getting there, when they can just actually go back into that moment to see what really happened, what woke you up, what woke you up that there's no one to wake up, what woke you up that there's no more thoughts, basically. So some people will talk about it nonstop about that event, but they can't seem to get people to see through it, the delusion, right? Or some people go give practices and everything, and there's again nothing wrong or right about that. But what can't be said that they're talking about?
I'm
Some
glad
people
you do.
get caught up.
Yeah.
They get caught up that they have this community now. You know, what I'm saying all of their insecurities as a child is getting fulfilled. But I've been there already as a teacher, and I didn't like it. Um,
Mm.
it was just more suffering, because you're maintaining something and that can't really be maintained. It's not an idea. And then you're just giving more words to people to follow in hopes that they'll find the liberation that you found, not through words, not through practices. Because if you go through all of those people that seemingly have awakened, they're not through practices, but yet they're giving practices. And none of that matters if you take away the language.
Mm.
So I'm going to stop the recording.